how blockchain is working. They saw the Bitcoin as in its first use case. So people was curious about the technology. Like there is no third party involved, and we can directly send a fund from one person to another, irrespective of the borders and countries or any other laws. And it can be trustable because the trust which is dependent on the blockchain technology. In 2016, considering the India, ICICI Bank was the first to execute that financial transaction using the blockchain technology. Later on, Kotak Bank and other banks also took it forward. World Bank also uses Ripple technology to move their inter transactions. So this was the history. There is some noise. Could you please check your mics if there is any issue, so we can continue without disturbance. Thank you. Okay, so this was the history of about blockchain technology. You'll find out this in some research papers also. Okay, so getting started, we should know like what is blockchain. Usually, most of the people have defined blockchain in very different ways. This is the simplest and technical definition I have combined, which will help you to understand what is blockchain. So it is a immutable timestamp series of records of data that is distributed and managed by clusters of computers. So I will divide it by word. Like see, first thing is immutable. That is, you cannot beat this record. Like once it's mined or transaction is happened, you cannot reverse it. Technically, it is possible, but why it is not possible in real time, that I will cover in next slides. Okay, so it's immutable. That is the first thing. After that, it's timestamp. So once the transaction is started or sent or recorded in the blockchain, it cannot be changed. And a series of record of data. So what does it mean? The transactions are kept one by one in the same block, and that block is attached with another block with the reference of previous block. So that we call a series of data. That is distributed, means the data of that block and the transaction is distributed all over the network. That is, each node of that Bitcoin or mining computational power they are running, they have the copy of that distributed ledger system, and it is managed by the cluster of computers. Whole network consisting of the node, the single node which is contributing to the computational power, is a node. And okay, and we'll move on to the next points which I mentioned below. It's open as well as closed. So it cannot be possible, right? Either it will open or close. But I have intentionally mentioned here it is also closed. So this is because blockchain is divided in some different types, like permission blockchain, permissionless blockchain, and public blockchain. So if you consider that type of blockchain, then this is applicable. Usually, most of the blockchains are public. So open is applicable. If someone asks you that if blockchain is public or closed, then open will be the answer. It's distributed. Already mentioned covered here. It's a ledger system, and it's P2P. P2P means what? When a person is transacting with another person, there is no third party involved. If you take an example of bank transaction, one customer sends the amount to the second customer, where bank is a third entity involved in between the transactions. But in this scenario, what happens when a person sends to another person, there is no entity involved. Just a technical terms, that is blockchain, which is independent of any persons or system. It is permanent. That is timestamp. Okay, I think everyone have understood up to this. Someone please give me yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll proceed further. Centralized, decentralized versus distributed network. In your computer network subject, you might have aware about these terms and heard. Centralized means the entity, the single entity where all other nodes are dependent on that node, like a router, example of Wi-Fi router. If one mobile device or laptop device is connected to the router and other 3 devices or more than 3 devices also connected to the router, then it is termed as a centralized network. If routers went offline, then every device connected to it went offline. They won't have any internet access, right? That's the centralized network. All the nodes are connected under a single authority. What does it mean? So the blockchain which is forming using the all nodes which are participating in the mining process are connected to the single single hub. Decentralized network. I think you might have confused about this centralized network, but I will cover it in decentralized network. So blockchain is mostly decentralized. No single authority server controls the nodes. They all have their individual entity. So as I mentioned on a previous slide, the multiple nodes are involved in the blockchain process, and those nodes are combining with the transactions. You can see this like a white
Sir,
color. Yes.
sorry to interrupt, but the
Yeah.
PPT isn't visible, sir.
Somebody might be presenting at the end, so you might not be able to
Okay.
see the
Thank you.
presentation.
You can, yeah. It was showing the resume presenting. Just interrupt me whenever such problems are arising. I'm presenting from my main PPT and the screen is in web browser. Okay, thank you for that. So which part was missing? Hello?
So from that, you can answer.
Okay, I will explain again. So centralized network means the Wi-Fi. I have given that example, and the decentralized means the white color dot you are seeing. That is the node of blockchain, and the other blue color nodes, which is the transaction of the block, which is given to the single node, and those nodes are connected to the each other, and this forms a centralized network. Sorry, decentralized network. And this is a distributed network. Every node is independent and interconnected with each other. So in this scenario, what happened? Each node is connected to every node through these small transactions. If you go through centralized network, decentralized network, and distributed network, then you will know the difference that as it transfer from network to network, the nodes are getting connected to each other. So this makes the power in the blockchain system or technology, which creates the decentralized network, so that everyone can see and take reference from each address to the another address or block. Okay, I hope this is clear. So we will move forward. This is the current paradigm, the bank transactions, and the blockchain paradigm, which is the blockchain transaction, P2P transaction. Okay, so considering the current scenario, the bank is the entity which is involved with the customers and its branches. When a bank have to transfer or have to done some transactions with the user, there is a third party involved, which is bank or its branch. That is we call it central authorities, which transfer the actual value between two parties and take the responsibility of that transactions or the values. Multiple intermediaries required to facilitate the assets and create the trust. When we go to the bank to issue the loan or to deposit the money, we were seeking the trust from the bank that when I depositing some money to my account, it should go to only my account, not someone else's account. That's the trust we are putting on the bank. That's the third party trust. And the blockchain paradigm, what happens when single person tries to send money to his friends or someone else, then there is no third party. It's directly transferred to the second person without any third party using the network which is decentralized. Both the parties sending and receiving parties trust the blockchain network so that the transactions gets processed. It shares the resources of information with both the users. Like I have received the money or some tokens from this address, and I have sent the money to this address at this timestamp. So both the details are visible to both sender and receiver. That creates the trust, and it's also protected by the cryptographic algorithms. SHA-256, you might have heard about that algorithm that is used to protect those scenarios. Though the SHA-256 is hackable now, but the process of mining and the processing of block prevents that because it uses consequences algorithm also. This is the scenario where we will understand how the transactions process from node A to node P. Node here I mean the end person or the sender person, sender to receiver. Suppose, for example, Rob is a person who want to send the 0.3 BTC to Laura. So what Rob open his blockchain wallet. The wallet which is used to store the cryptographic token over the network, and that network is synchronized with the Bitcoin wallet. So this is a different concept. Like we used to store our money in bank in some values. Similarly, we store the digital currency in the wallet, and it is protected with the private key as well as public key. The public key which we called as an address, and the private key which is only kept with us to access that wallet. Okay, so it scans the copy of Laura's address. So to send the fund from his account to Laura's account, they have to check the address actually where they have to send. If the address gets wrong, the Bitcoin will be lost. Okay, so that's the care you have to take while using the blockchain wallet or Bitcoin wallet or any other currency wallet related to blockchain only. After the scans, it fills the amount and the fee. The amount which we have mentioned here, 0.3 BTC, and the fees. That fees is contributed to the mining network. The person or nodes which are contributing to process that network using their computational power, that fees goes to the person who mines that block. So these fees dependent of the transaction. Suppose we have to send the transactions in say 4 to 5 minutes or instant, then we can increase that fee. And if you want to send the transaction slowly, then we can decrease the fee. So according to your need, you can customize those fees at the sender end. Once the amount and fees is decided, it sent. It clicks on the send button. So this was the part at the user end. After that, the parts comes in the machine end. So what does machine do? As the wallet is synchronized with the blockchain, it checks with the Rob's private key that whether the wallet is connected with the network and he is actually allowed to send the transactions over the blockchain. So this was the first step. After that, 10 seconds are over till this process. If you go through the carefully, then or slowly, process by process, one step by steps, then it will take some time. But if we automate it by smart contract, then it won't take any time, just a milliseconds or something else. So the transaction is propagated and validated by the network node. So once it comes over the network, sometime in case of Ethereum, you might have seen the pending status. So that's the time they are finding which block they have to be inserted and how much fees they have put into the transactions. So that is decided in this process. And after the computational process of calculating certain hash, the mining is done. So using this public key of the Laura and the private key of the Rob, the hash is generated, cryptographic hash. And that hash is put and attach with the transactions and the block. So after that, new Bitcoin is created. So what does it mean? The process of mining such that once the block is created, the single Bitcoin is mined. That means the total number of fees is contributed and the one Bitcoin is formed by the computational power, and that is a proof of work. Means they have worked computationally to prove that this Bitcoin is created using those transactions and this number of blocks within the 10 minutes. The node verify results and propagates the block. So network again checks if the transaction is legitimate and the block having the reference of previous block which is attached to the actual blockchain, so that the next block will be attached to that. And after that, LoRa sees the first confirmation. What is confirmation? Confirmation is the number of block they are mined while the transaction is on the blockchain. So once the one confirmation is done, it's sure that you are getting your Bitcoin in your wallet. Some wallet supports 3 confirmation, some supports 4 confirmation, some might get credited as soon as they comes on a blockchain. So it varies with the wallet to wallet and their security perspectives. Okay, so at this end, LoRa receives the 0.3 BTC. So this is the whole scenario, how transaction works from starting to beginning. I hope this is clear now. I will move forward with the types of blockchain. Types of blockchain, I have summarizes them at initial slides. Public blockchain, private blockchain, and consortium or federated blockchain, that is permission blockchain. We have require some permissions. So where it's used, we'll see in use cases below slides. So considering the public blockchain, BTC, LTC, these are the examples of the public blockchain which anyone can see over the blockchain and trace in address with transactions or timestamp on blockchain. Anyone can make transactions. Those who have the wallet, they can make a transactions and also receive the transactions from someone else. Anyone can review, audit the blockchain. As it is public, anyone have right to see where transaction is going. In terms of private blockchain, what happened? There is a permission required to run the full node, because as it is covered in some private spaces, no one have permission to run their node. Considering scenario of the security of some building or some companies, only the authorized persons are allowed to go inside, because it's private company, right? Same example applies here. Anyone can't make transactions like no random guy can directly go in some private places and say I want to go in. He has to show his ID card, right? Similarly, anyone can't make any transactions, nor they review or audit. And talking about the consortium and federated blockchains, selected members of a consortium can run a full node. So here what happens? There are some top level or very secure blockchains which are runs internally to execute some smart contracts or get their work done in internal terms, like the transaction which was first done in the ICICI Bank. There, I feel the permission blockchain were implemented, because if that transactions were seen by some other companies or public, then they will get to know that these transactions are carrying out in at this address and this belongs to ICICI Bank. So they will definitely try to hack it or do some other illegal aspects over it. So to prevent that, only allowed participants are there to run that node, and selected members are allowed to make transactions, like say financial officials and other manager or top level peoples. Okay, continuing with this. So this was the some detailed structure of blockchain, if you consider in general, there are only two ways, public and private. In public, we can read and write that, that is, we can send the transaction as well as receive the transactions to anyone. In private, it's only invitation only. That's once you have authorizations, then only are allowed. Other you aren't allowed. Network access don't know each other, and in private, everyone knows who's there because it's permission, right? Everyone have permission, so the person involved in the blockchain are known. It is since it's public, you can't guarantee that who's the guy. Native token, yes, it has the native tokens like BTC, LTC, Ethereum. I have mentioned there in some previous slides. So those are the tokens which are used. And in a private or permitted blockchains, there is no network because their work is different than the actual work being we are watching on the public chain. What is the security of public chains? The concept of proof of work is called as in mining. Proof of stake, where people used to hold some coins and run their nodes over the cloud platforms, and they get some rewards over that. So that is the different concept where single node have to participate multiple users. Those have some quantity of stakes or that native tokens belongs to only that blockchain. Proof of space, proof of work, etc. These are the types. If you go into details, you will get to know. I'll explain one like proof of work. So in that case, what happens? Suppose they have created 1 million tokens. Okay, and after their business runs and comes in a chain, they burn some tokens. Like say, 0.1 million is burned. So what happened? The demand is reduced. The number of tokens which are reduced to 0.9 million. Hence, the price will be increased. So, in 2018, when I was trading on some platforms, this was the popular concept when they announced that these coins will be burning their tokens. So, at that time, people used to buy that currencies because they were sure that if the supply is less, then price definitely increase, right? So, that was the strategy we used to do in 2018. But nowadays, it's not that effective. In a private permitted, there are some legal contracts, or we can say if there is some documentation process, we used to buy some properties, right? So at that time we need something concrete. If we consider blockchain, then this private blockchain can be implemented. The speed is very slow for the blockchain. It's absolute because we don't know how many people are contributing to that network or using that network at some peak time. So at that time, the speed might get slow. There was some times in, I think 2 to 3 times the Bitcoin chain was very slow. It takes like 6 to 8 hours to process the transactions. At that time, the price was suddenly dropped and people started withdrawing their money and sending BTC from one wallet to other wallet. So that time, network gets heavy load. So everyone cannot allow to participate in that mining process because consequences algorithm something different which we are not allowed to mine more than 1 Bitcoin in less than 10 minutes. It increases its difficulty. It's again some different concept. You have to go in detail. For that, you can just consider it slow. And in private, it's fast because there are limited number of users are there. Example is there is some noise. Could you please check? Okay, thank you. Example is like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, that is anonymous currency. Zcash is also anonymous, Streamlit, Dash. So these are the types of public blockchain. I will cover it in demo. And these are some private, like which use banks for energy transactions, like how much energy is transferred to which country or which states, likewise. Okay, so proceeding ahead, we have discussed about blockchain, but what's the need of that technology? Why we are implementing and adapting it so fast that people are crazy about it. Even it's not technical. People used to have their fundamental knowledge to increase the price, or not organically but intentionally. So that was the case in 2018. So we will discuss here what's the need. One no longer need to rely upon some huge servers. So here what happens when we try to check our college results, the website gets crashed because university have some limited server capacity. So that if you consider that example and implement blockchain, then it will process by block or transaction by transactions. So they don't have to rely on the single server. If they have decentralized network, then everyone will get their results in minutes. They are cost effective and fast. So here what happened, if you consider a smart contract, what happened? Smart contract have some automated codes. Once the condition triggered, it get executed and it saves your cost. Also, it executed in the minimum time. If you use same method in traditional way or our usual dynamic website, then it takes some time to process individual requests, right? But in case of smart contract, it gets executed directly. They reduce the need for more trusted parties because you can implement a smart contract instead there, right? So if you consider any big organizations, they have to be rely on some their officials. If you consider example of engineering college, principal have to rely on the HODs, right? So similar example applies here. If they are decentralized or connected to the single party, then they want to have rely on those entity, right? It gives the options for rights and access management. It's obvious. Management is done through the smart contract, like they have systematically designed blockchain where once the conditions triggers, it will get executed. But in case of general examples, it takes some complications. It reduces the redundant work. It's not dependent on something else, like if these conditions are not met, then it won't happen. It has something which is not dependent. If HOD is absent, then we have to rely on some other faculty and have to take permission from them, right? But this is something different where those permissions are automatically executed. Distributed consequences between interested parties become fast, even though you are geographically segregated. If you consider the ICICI Bank example here, what happened if ICICI Bank have to send the fund to USA and they have to carry out some transactions through blockchain, which takes minimum time, right? But same example, if you consider traditionally, they will have to contact with the entities involved in those countries and entity involved in the center countries. So both will take time, right? So if we have this technology, it gets in a single click because we rely on the blockchain and we trust it. That's the need for the blockchain technology. And that's I can also say that this is the beauty that no one have to rely on someone else, because it's the blockchain's technology or structure designed in such a way that every entity involved in that chain trusts it. Okay, after that we'll consider applications of blockchains. You might have heard about supply chain management use cases in the blockchains, or some banking transactions are also there. We'll go through one by one. Payment processing and money transfers. If we consider the Western Union money transfers, once the user have to fill up the form, deposit the cash, take the token, send to the receiver, then that token is verified by the teller counter. That counter checks in their system, then that system checks the balance, then it cuts, then the cash is counted, and then that cash is handed over to the receiver. So this is the whole big process, right? That process can be minimized with the blockchain. Monitor supply chains. If you consider example of medicine, once the medicine is manufactured with their batch numbers or some tablet ID, it's get tracked on the blockchain. Once the manufacturer send it to the retail, what you say, wholesaler or distributor, and then retailer. So whoever the entity involved in this process, they have to make the entry in that system. Since the centralized system can be altered, if they use blockchain, then it won't be altered. Once they put that stamp, it gets fixed in the blockchain. Digital ID. See, if you consider the Aadhaar case, there were the cases where fake Aadhaar were issued by some peoples, and it was very difficult to trace those people, like how actually they get executed and why people are using it. So, obvious thing, if we use blockchain technology for digital IDs, then once it gets recorded, it won't be changed. So that's the application for digital IDs. In the real estate, lands, auto title transfers, once we bought the house, we used to minimize the price at the time of registration to save the tax. And government won't know this because they have the actual value which is visible over the paper. But if it is used over the blockchain, what happened? Builder have to sell at that price which is decided by the government or the two mutual entities. And that price is visible on the blockchain, which is timestamp. So this way government will also get the tax and the actual value of that asset will be visible over the blockchain. Tax regulation and compliance. Same thing applies, same example applies. We used to reduce the transaction cost and tax is reduced. Same applies if transaction cost is actual, then tax is actual, means they have to pay the tax only which is calculated over the original price. Medical record keeping, that's a medicine supply chain example. Developing platforms. So here I will highlight a smart contract thing. What happened when there is some automated work? Suppose to get better understanding, we will have an example of our results and exam process. Usually university have some systems which have some loopholes where system generated results sometimes change or some people gets failed even after they have sure that my result was something else, but after the university releases the original certificate, it was different. So these things can be avoided if we implement a blockchain technology, because once the mark sheet and answer sheet has been checked, the actual marks is put into the blockchain, and that's the timestamp. And stats cannot be changed, right? So those marks are carry forward with the further process to process your certificates. If there is some changes, then we will get to know that which person entered wrong information, and that can be traced, so that student won't get face any loss, but the person who is entering that will face some consequences because of his mistake, and student will get his marks whichever he is secured. Okay, that was the application. There are more applications, but for the sake of understanding, I have only considered these examples. You can also consider these use cases like warranty receipts. We go with the warranty considering the mobile example. So what happened? There is a bill number, IMEI number, and some other parameters like name or location or the retailer names where from where the mobile has been purchased. So that things in the actual scenario can be changed. But if it's implemented over the blockchain, it cannot be changed. See, if you are observing my pattern of examples, there is one thing common. Once the transaction is recorded, it cannot be changed. And that's the benefit of blockchain technology, which is applicable and helpful for the both sides, like client also and the retailer or the manufacturer also. So both sides, they have to trust over that network. If you consider digital supply chain, considering the oil and gas, I'm not sure about the last scenario of oil. Like it went like minus $40 and just came like $22 in next day. So that was case little bit different, but it's up to the supply and the demand zone, which is not actually monitored by the authorities. Okay, so if that scenario is implemented with the blockchain, they have the right data, which is actually in demand zone and the supply zone. And considering the healthcare and the life sciences, patient record management. What happened in the current scenario? There are some apps like healthcare or Medicare. So those apps are charging you to store your medical records so that the doctor. Could you please check whose mic is on? Please mute it. Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. Where I was, patient's record. So if you consider those existing applications, those are charging you to store your health record and meeting appointments with the doctors and prescription you have been given by doctors, and that is used with your future treatment. But you are not sure, like if you get that report card of your treatment, it's in physical form paper, right? If something happens with that papers, you weren't sure that what was actually treated with me, and doctor also was not sure, like he has many patients at a single day, so he wasn't sure that that was the treatment I have given to him. So in this case, if blockchain was used, that record, whichever prescribed or treated, will be recorded on the blockchain. Same thing applies to the telecommunication in the public sector. I hope these use cases are clear with you. Just give me a yes or no in the comment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Proceeding further, demerits of blockchain technology. I have mentioned earlier that it was slow as well as fast. It's depending on the type of blockchain. Slowdowns, that means when the number of transactions occurred, then load is increased with the blockchain. Like number of computational power requirement increases, and that cannot be fulfilled by the nodes involved in the mining process. So at that time it will be so, but usually it's not that slow. Self-maintenance of wallet. When explaining the transaction process, I have mentioned it has the private key as well as the public key. In initial days, what happened, when people have to manage their wallet, they have to keep their private key phrase as well as identifier in a safe place so that it won't get leaked over the internet and people won't get access to that internet. That wallet. For that, you have to be sure by yourself only that your wallet is secure. While signing up with the wallet, generally now what practice wallet service have been following, they ask you to write down the phrase which has been created while creating the wallet, and they re-verify that asking you in the random sequences, like these are the characters or statements have been formed with the creation of your wallet, and to verify it, please enter it, and it asks in a random way, so that user must have that phrases to verify the wallet. I will suggest to write down in a what is a diary or some offline places. Please don't keep your private key or phrases over your email box or somewhere on cloud, because it once it get accessed with someone else, then you lose the control over the blockchain, because that cannot be changed. Once it's created, it cannot be changed. Forget your wallet. So that's the self-maintenance of wallet. Continuous internet connectivity is required. So it's not only for the network but also nodes. But user don't have to connect stay connected with his wallet. He can only have to use the wallet whenever he required. Only the nodes which are participating in contributing that mining power or solving those computational complex consequences algorithm have to be connected to the internet 24/7. It consumes too much of energy. In process of Bitcoin mining, you might have heard that the total number of electricity used for the mining of Bitcoin is parallel or similar to the some country's total electricity, because the nodes are scattered all over the world. Majority of nodes are in China, so the mining power requires a lot energy. It's not only for the Bitcoin, but other cryptocurrencies also. Once the data fed cannot be changed, that's the timestamp. We want to change something we have put into the blockchains, we again have to make another transactions or to follow different information, whichever we want to change. It's not 100% secure. Usually you might have heard from different people that blockchain is secure, no one can hack it, but technically it's not secure. At the first or third slide, I told you that I will cover it in other side. So here I would like to highlight why it is secure and why I am saying that it's not secure. So we'll talk about why it is not secure first. It is not secure because at the time of mining, if you have 51% mining power at your end, then you can actually alter those transactions or change the previous mine block. Okay, this is the technical term which is allow us to hack the network. Now, why it is secure? Because 51% of mining power, which is very large as we can compare with some countries' total energy or computational power, which is hardly solved by the supercomputers. So that power should not be available with single entity, right? So that's why it's secure. Suppose I have the i7 processor or Tesla processor or some other processes, then I can only have the capacity which is like 0.0001 something percent, which is not even 1%. So if you consider 51%, then definitely no one will have it. Even the data centers won't have it. So that's why it's secure, but technically it's not secure. That's the difference you keep in mind. But in general, you can directly say it's secure, because these are the technical terms which you will have to explain the person to whom you are.
जरा 2 मिनट
My screen is visible. I think someone was presenting. Okay. So key points to consider for
Sir, someone else is presenting, sir.
Okay. My screen is visible.
Jaypal ji.
Sir, someone is
Okay, now it's visible.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir. Now it's
Okay,
okay.
so key points here to consider if someone have lose the control and miss these points, you can see this now. Okay. Key points, the wallet things which I have mentioned with the private keys and maintenance of wallet to keep secure your wallet with your phrases or identifiers. That is the interface where users interacting with the blockchain. And cryptocurrency network. Cryptocurrency network and blockchain, it's same. Private and public key. I was about to explain that thing in this slide, but I already explained it here. The mining thing. Okay, so in the mining, previously you have seen proof of work and proof of stake. So how it is different and which hardware is used or software is used to mine those processes. In a mining process, this is the hardware which is used to mine Bitcoin only. This is specially designed circuit which is dedicated to the blockchain, Bitcoin mining. And the softwares, usually most of the people have developed the pool where number of people are contributing to that pool, and that pool is contributing to the network, so that the chances of reward gets increased as the number of computational power increase with the number of people they are involved in a single pool. You can find out the number of pools over the internet. Binance just started the pool; they are on 11th number now. Okay, mining rewards and halving. Mining rewards is something which we provide when the transactions is done. We have to mention the fees like this. This is the fee I want to contribute to network for my transaction. So that fee is rewarded to the miners. And the halving. What is halving? Halving is something where number of reward given to the miners is reduced by half. It is designed by the developers when it has to be halved, and how the reward which has to be fixed in half. Uh, in the next few days, there is a Bitcoin halving where you will observe the number of blocks and their rewards as reduced to the half. The algorithm used for the mining is SHA-256 consequences algorithm, and some other algorithm also, but we mostly focus on SHA-256. It is only applicable to the Bitcoin. If you consider with the different altcoins like Ethereum, then they have their other algorithms. But you can also use this. Proof of work and proof of stake, like proof of work, which is similar to the Bitcoin mining, which is some number of nodes are contributing to the blockchain network. That is proof of work, where actual computational power being contributed to the network. And the proof of stake means you are holding something. The number of tokens the currency or chain has issued, you have to store those tokens in a node, and to run that node you have to satisfy the criteria. Suppose if you take the example of Tomo chain. Tomo chain is one of the blockchain which is faster than Ethereum. It's still under development, and for that network you have required 50,000 tokens for the one who starting the node, and the people who are contributing to them, the total number of tokens must be greater than 2 lakh tokens. And once they reduce below 2 lakh, the node is not applicable to be said as a node. To maintain their them as a node, they have to maintain their number of coins which they have stake. The soft fork and hard fork, like they make some changes in their what we say code, and in a soft fork, they divide that chain. Once the number of blocks are increased beyond the control capacity, like in a Bitcoin, I will say there are a number of forks, ETC one of them, BTG one of them. So these are the forks which helps networks to maintain their speed despite of people started increasing the number of blocks. Understanding the cryptocurrencies. So we have covered the blockchain technology part in above slides. Now we'll focus on the cryptocurrencies. So I have summarized the cryptocurrency in two different definitions. Whichever you feel it's simple, you can consider that. In the first definition, it is a virtual currency which is form of digital cash that enables individual to transmit value over the blockchain. And second is a digital token exchange on blockchain using cryptographic algorithms to secure the P2P transactions. So after reading these definitions, you might have known about or understood the concept of cryptocurrency. So it's just a token which is run over the blockchain technology using some cryptographic algorithms like SHA 256 for the P2P transaction. That is the give and take. Example I have given here is BTC. Some people are not trying differentiating between blockchain and the Bitcoin. I will say like Bitcoin is the use case of blockchain, and blockchain is a technology. It's not any coin or token. It's the technology, and Bitcoin is the use case of that. Okay, so why crypto? Why we call this as in cryptocurrency? From the second definition, we came to know that it's the cryptographic function embedded with some token. So that's why we called it as cryptocurrency. It uses the cryptographic techniques and secure transactions using them. So that's we conclude it with cryptocurrency. There are some types in cryptocurrency. First is Bitcoin. It's we can't technically say its type, but it's the first use case of blockchain. So we have to consider it as in currency because it's the main stream where most of the altcoin prices are dependent on blockchain. Altcoin, the currencies which are different from Bitcoin, like Litecoin, BTC, BTG, Litecoin. So these are altcoins because we can't actually consider and remember each name for the 4,000 plus currencies. So for those currency, we used to call them as altcoin. And token. Token is something which we use internally or to process that transaction or the asset value. Here I mentioned like tokens are not able to operate independently and are dependent on the network of another blockchain. So if we go technically, what does it mean? If you consider blockchain as a token, right? So it runs on a blockchain technology. Okay, you have now aware about blockchain technology and consider that Bitcoin is a use case of that technology. But if we consider these tokens and these things, what are these things? So for Ethereum, it's the ERC20 platform where someone executes their smart contracts and they develop some their own tokens or currencies. Then we called it as ERC20 tokens because it's based on the Ethereum blockchain, which is separate from the actual blockchain of Bitcoin network. There are other example, TRX tokens. TRX is also a platform where people can develop their currencies or tokens and implement the smart contracts. Neo is also similar to that. Most popular is Ethereum, which is developed by Vitalik. TRX is developed by, I don't remember, Justin. Yeah, Justin is name. Neo, I don't sure about it. I am not went in depth. Okay, so in demo, I will show you how transactions are currently going on and how to identify the sending or receiving address and timestamp like that. I will have to stop presenting for a while. I'll present my desktop so you can see my browser. Okay, my browser is visible now. So we will go here, blockchain.com. So see, These are the hash which are being generated using the public key and the private key of the sender. You can see here written mine. That means it is actually been contributed to the network by miners and it's on the network. The pools I have
This is
mentioned. Something is wrong. Someone. Okay. Shall I continue? Is there any problem?
No, sir.
Okay. So the thing I have mentioned about the pools, so ant pool is one of them. The unknown thing is where individual miners is contributing to the network, so he does not or she does not belong to the any pool. So that's why here is unknown. There is slush pool, F2P pool, F2 pool. So these are the name of pools and the size of this block and the number of block. Like this is a number of block, this is a second number of block, and this is the size of this block. So we'll find out the transactions. These are the transactions. I will click on single transaction so that you will get to know. Okay, it's unconfirmed. I will go through block so everything will be visible. Okay, this is good. One more thing I'd like to highlight before proceeding further. If you have your what you say address where you have sent or where someone want to send, and you want to trace the transactions, that whether actually the transaction is being processed or someone just saying that I'm sending. To verify that, click on this block and put here your address or transaction hash, whatever the information you got from the sender. After that, once you put it, you can find out the details like this. This is the block of blockchain. This is a timestamp that this block is carried out with this timestamp just 4 minutes earlier. This is the height, means these number of blocks have been mined up to this date. These are the number of transactions were involved in this block. And this is the difficulty of the network, like how much difficult it's for the miners to process their transactions. So this is the difficulty. This is a Merkle tree. Merkle tree is where this is a Merkle tree which is used to process and attach those transactions and blocks. All these other details you can see. This was the size was mentioned in first page on transactions value. So this is the total value of that block, that is 1171.67 BTC that was processed in that block, and this is the block reward. So I have told you, like in a halving it is reduced to its half. So before the halving it was 25 Bitcoin, and after the halving it becomes 25.12.5, and in upcoming days after it gets halved one more time, it will get reduced to its half. And this is the fee which is actually been sent to the miners who were contributing to mine that block. So after mining this much of Bitcoin, you can get this much of BTC as a mining fee. Okay, so here is some information related to this hash, like Coinbase generated this transaction, and these are some details. One confirmation, like it just happened few minutes before. 10 minutes will be required to confirm for second confirmation. So this was the first confirmation. That means it's on the blockchain. These are the addresses from where transaction is being sent to these addresses. So in this case, you are seeing these multiple addresses just because it's an Excel. Multiple people are using different addresses. Though looks it's same, but it's not actually same. There are some patterns to generate wallet and process. On this address, it has been sent 11 BTC from all these participants. So same you can see here. So this was the total fee were contributed to process this transaction, and this was the size for this transaction. To understand the blockchain, I think this transaction process is enough. Shall I explain some other blockchain, or this is okay with you? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Shall I proceed with different chain, or this is enough?
This is enough, sir.
Okay, fine. So I will stop sharing now. So that was the demo. After that, I'm winding up with a Q&A session. If you have any questions, you can now put on in the comment section. I will take them one by one. If we are concerned about, can I have some questions to answers? If I miss someone's questions above, then they can highlight them now because I was on slide and not focus on chat. I think, okay, native tokens. Native tokens, it's similar, the blockchain which it belongs to. Native token of state of art, which is permissionless blockchain like Bitcoin or Ethereum, that we call as a native token. Okay. I think no one have questions.
Sir, you are muted by someone.
Now
Somebody is
audible?
muted. Yes.
Now audible? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Now it's okay, sir.
Okay. See,
Now it's okay.
okay, thank you. The research areas are like the use cases just I have shown to you. Some people are yet to confirm with the use cases implemented in their country or some organizations. For sake of understanding, I will highlight one example: the land record system used over the blockchain. So when I was watching Lok Sabha TV, the one of the official said that we are not implementing blockchain for land record because there is no other country have up till now implemented that in blockchain. But if we give them something like this can be done through this way, that will require some research, right? Because blockchain have more types like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tomo chain, or Neo platform. So which platform is fit at that use case, and which are the problem will be faced when we use that platform. So if we consider and make some research on that, then this topic can be taken for the research. Similarly, same applies with the different use cases. How to become a crypto trader? Okay. So see, I was also trading for a Bitcoin from a long time. For becoming a crypto trader, you just have to follow the standard crypto practice, like the one we used to follow in stocks. There are some patterns for the charts where if you follow that pattern, then price can be predicted. Like there are some what we say Elliott waves pattern, triangle pattern, W pattern. So if you understood those patterns with the risk and their predictions, then I think you may able to be trade the altcoins. But there are some scams in cryptocurrency or blockchain technology, which you have to take care of, because blockchain is mainly defamed because of these scamsters. Uh, Before understanding those, people are directly investing in those companies or tokens. So okay, okay, I think is the blockchain have future? Okay, see, blockchain have the future because it's one of the emerging technology rated by Forbes also. Uh, as you are seeing, some people are adapting it, and companies are also working on it. Some R&D stuff is also going on. Companies like IBM. So yes, it definitely have the scope. How cybersecurity helps us in the era of Bitcoin? See, cyber security and Bitcoin is something different concept. But if we consider cyber security and Bitcoin at once, then I can say like if you have been scammed with Bitcoin transactions, then you can take help of the forensic or cyber security force, which help you to track those persons which you are dealing with. This way, cyber security can help, but again, it's not 100% traceable because the owner of the person is not known to the chain itself. If it's belong to any exchange, then it can possible. Okay, I think almost everything is. Everyone is leaving, and session should be concluded now. If you have any further queries, you can reach me on my LinkedIn. Okay. Yeah, it's a very good time with you. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
Could anyone send the link, please?
Just 2 minutes.